Alrighty, here we are. We are back. Studio update. Pegboard wall is in and we are printing. Yes, we are printing. You can see we got the board up there where we are indeed printing. And it is, what day is it? It's Sunday here in Korea. The 15th of February, middle of the month, 8:21 in the morning, so we're a little bit later than usual. I've been kind of puttering around, doing some stuff, and as you can see, we have the wall has been installed. Yeah, we finally got everything in there. It looks kind of a mess from that camera angle, but yeah, it works. So the other thing that I've been working on, since we have the cool pegboard wall, is to have some paint racks on there. So I had made some previous paint racks for, what was it? I think it was for SCADAS, where the holes lined up. It wasn't a specific SCADAS type of connector, but I just had the holes lined up because I got something in the airbrush paint room and a little SCADAS wall thing, put it on there and put some shelves. It was kind of one of my earlier things in Tinkercad. So that kind of evolved over time. And so when I got this pegboard wall in, which is made of metal, I took the measurements from, the outside of, you have a hole and a hole. And so from the outside to the outside, and then from the inside to inside, and of course the diameter of the hole itself. So with those measurements, I was able to make some hooks, and we're going to take a look and show you what we ended up doing. So we did all this in Tinkercad, and yeah, we started that. Oh, by the way, in case you didn't know, my name is Steve, the retired hobby tech guy, American expat in Korea. And we're rocking a vanilla latte this morning. So with a light bean roast. So with that being said, welcome to the stream. Let's go ahead and we'll get into the Tinkercad. Tinkercad is kind of like it's not a full-blown CAD system, but it's kind of on my level. I'm not the sharpest knife in the drawer, but I'd say I'm kind of like a half-sharpened spork. So I've been able to do a few things, and with Tinkercad, what I ended up doing, as you can see, I've got some paint racks. Now these are for some 17 millimeter paint racks, or milliliter paint racks. And I had some previous things here, like I had an airbrush, or not an airbrush, but a paintbrush holder. And I was able to put these little hooks on the back to be able to hang this stuff off the wall. Well, when I first did these racks, these paint racks, I did them like this. But the problem is that when you do something like that, you have to stack high and you're losing real estate. So after looking online, what I saw was that some people were tilting those forward, and I found out that probably the best angle was about 45 degrees. So that way you could have like some paints this way and then have some other paints above it, so you maximize your space. So I ended up taking these and I turned them up on their end, kind of rotated it. So basically what I ended up doing is kind of taking this and rotating it about 40 degrees, which is like that. And then what I ended up doing is going, I had to have a triangle here like this. So I ended up taking, well, we might as well just go through it in case somebody's interested in this. So we'll rotate this around, kind of give you an idea of what we ended up doing. So we did this here, and we got our little trace tool. And so we brought that down to here. And basically what I wanted to end up doing is trying to make like a flat edge. So this would be at 45 degrees. So we're probably going to go like this. And oh, that's not what I want to do, seriously. And unfortunately, there's no undo on this thing. So let me see if I can't get this right. And of course, it's going to do it there. So basically, what I ended up doing is kind of doing this and kind of like that. And then we just kind of brought it into here and went like that. So we finished our sketch up, and then what that allowed me to do was to, let's get this on the base, and then we could bring, no, that's not what I want to do. Seriously, really? Kind of bring that up, and then we could do like that. So now we've got that face at basically a 45 degree, and we could just join these two things together and end up with one piece. And then what we end up doing is getting rid of those hooks, and we put the hooks on this face right here. So yeah, that's basically what we ended up doing, is just kind of using the sketch tool, going through, doing some cool stuff. Again, like I said, we rotate it at 40 degrees, and then yeah, just be able to have a pretty cool time. So with Tinkercad, it ends up that I printed these out, and I did one with a 6, as you can see here, and then for 6 paint pots, and then I made another one. I just kind of extended it out, copied, and split this in half, and just kind of made it bigger. And so we have, what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We got 10. So we can do a rack of 10 on here. And then I went through and I started thinking about some other stuff. So I got like a tape measure. So I ended up taking the measurements of the tape measure, did a little hollowed out box, and with some hooks on the end. And then the same thing, I've got like, this is going to be for a remote, because I've got a light remote that I use, as you can see here, and that is going to sit. So it's kind of like that, because this is the automatic remote for the light over there. So let's see if we can take a look, and I'll show you. So we've got the, come on, let's go. Dun, 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 dun. Okay, so there's the light, and well, this would probably be a better shot here. And so with this remote, what I could end up doing is I could turn that off, I could turn it on, and then I have I could change the color of the light. So PC, kind of a warmer color for music, for leisure, and then for painting. So I keep it on painting. It's a little bit kind of blue, but then I can also end up turning this, and I can change, it's a dimmer switch. So it turns out pretty good. I can end up doing some pretty cool stuff with that. So yeah, and then of course I can also turn it off, and then I could turn it on. But the other cool thing is that also has a motion activated sensor in it. So for example, if I go over here, and the sensor is right up here, and boom, so it's off. And then of course I can rotate and move these around and do all kinds of cool stuff, so I can get some really good lighting on that. So yeah, what we ended up doing is some cool stuff. And if we go back to our desktop, yeah, did that. Here's going to be like a pen or pencil holder. Again, just putting a couple of hooks on there, and then I ended up with this here is going to be for our calipers, so I got a little place to hang my calipers. And yeah, just kind of going through and making some cool stuff. Thinking about making this. I've got these, but I just added the hooks onto the back, but I'm not sure if I want to do that. And then of course there's a bunch of other type of things that's a little bit outside of my wheelhouse. In other words, like if I want to do some connectors, not connectors, but boxes. So for example, if we take a look at this here, some different types of boxes and stuff like that to put parts and pieces and stuff like that. That's way beyond me, so I'll probably be downloading a few things. We got some different types of boxes and shelves and stuff like that, so I'm going over all that stuff there. So yeah, we're having pretty decent time. And with that, as you can see on the board, We've already got our first little paint rack. Those are my Citadel paints in dropper bottles. And then I've got on the very top is the original one. So I did that, and then I decided, well, let's go big, and we will print out the ones for this. So yeah, these just came off the plate. I think this was like 14 hours of printing, like 5% infill, and then yeah, this should be good. So the only thing I found out is that I have to do just a little bit of sanding on these hooks. Some of them work out pretty well, but then you can get, we got a little bit of, you can see that's kind of messed up a little bit, tiny bit of stringing. But what I found is just a little bit of sanding, and then that'll be good to go. So take the brim off of there, and boom, we are good. So yeah, these should be pretty good. And I think maybe the next ones I'll do that I print out, we'll see if we can do them in a, I don't know, maybe the regular supports. These are tree supports on here. And I want to see if the next batch that I do will clean up the bottom of these, because again, you can kind of see how those are kind of boogered up a little bit. We'll need some sanding. So I just pumped out these. I'll be able to use these. I wonder, we'll probably go over there and see if we can get these to work. So not too bad. So the next version of this, again, like I said, we'll go through, and with Creality Print, we'll, instead of using the tree supports, matter of fact, we could take a look at that. And let me open this up, and we will get there. Nedvendiv says, just curious, why pegboard? I really like the 3D printed multi-board with so much customization that is mind-melting. Yeah, but there's a ton to do, like multi-board and all that stuff. I've got a couple of problems, because that board, or that pegboard that we got there, that is standing, and it's got, if you've seen the previous videos, you see that it stands, and that is up against a couple of curtains, and behind those curtains are a couple of windows. So I don't have a way to mount the multi-board onto the window. Okay. So to do multi-board, I would have to build a wall to cover the window, and I'm just like, yeah, I don't want to do that, and it's just too much of a pain in the butt. And so I looked at multi-board, and you know, I guess one of the other ones, I can't remember the name of the other one, that was pretty good, but I was like, yeah, that's, and then printing out each individual multi-board and then doing the whole thing, it'd be great if it was just a wall, but even then you're going to be using a lot of filament. You're going to be it's going to be a lot of time, and it just wasn't going to be cost effective. So yeah, the pegboard was quicker and easier. It was only like $100. If I wanted to get the same coverage with multi-board and printing out all of that for that entire thing, that would be, I'm not made of that kind of money. this pegboard wall that is, you know, standing on its own, that ended up being like $116. So yeah, if I did the multi-board filament thing, that would end up being just absolutely crazy. My wife would be like, what? How much filament? How much are you spending? Hey, we got Ferrithus here. Good morning. Yes, good morning, sir. We're doing our little pegboard accessories, so that way we can put our paints up there so everything looks really, really professional. And like I ended up showing Let me see if I can get some of this over there. But we had some pretty good results on the paint rack, and we just did some little hooks on the end. Turns out pretty good. And yeah, it'll be able to hold our 17 millimeter paint rack, or our 17 milliliter paints from like Army Painter, which I've got Army Painter paints. I've got Army Painter Speed Paint 2.0. I've got the airbrush paints. And then, of course, I have my Citadel paints over there that I put into dropper bottles. So, yeah, it's turning out pretty good. Yeah, it's making out some nice progress. It's turning out pretty good. It's from the camera angle that we have here, that looks a little rough. But with this one here, you can see that the pegboard turned out pretty good. And if we take a look at the, let's zoom in a little bit. You can see the top paint rack, I would have to store everything vertically and it would take up space. And so the 3 paint racks on the bottom that are filled up with paints, I angled those at 40 degrees so that we're able to, make up a little bit of space on that. So yeah, we're able to maximize the space is what I'm talking about. Ferrith says, I'm also making progress. From today, I'm officially back in the gym 4 times a week, increase my calories again, and start gaining again. Alrighty, congratulations. I myself have recovered. I'm probably about 95%, probably about 97, feeling really good. Tiny bit of stiffness, but that happens when you hack squat 490 pounds, and shouldn't have done that. So yeah, everything's kind of relaxed a little bit. I'll be back to the gym on Monday, so it's always good. Ferrith says, I definitely like the angled one better. Yeah, I do too. It definitely turned out better. Let's take a look at the Creality print as we have here, and we'll open up our file, recent projects, pegboard, paint rack accessories, ba-boom. Oh, we got Mad Mick. He's here, and he's saying, good morning. My back is still hurting, unfortunately. Oh, I hate that back pain. That is rough. I feel for you, bro. Nothing worse than back pain. And if you haven't had back pain, God bless you. I pray that you never have back pain. But, I was in the military. Here's a little story. When I was in the military, it ends up that people would say, hey, well, I've got back pain. I got to go see the medics or see the doc or, and then they get a profile. I didn't really understand how pivotal your back is until I got into a helicopter crash. And it wasn't a serious crash, but it was serious enough to give me some herniated discs. And that brought about my sciatic pain and chronic pain throughout the military, and even have chronic pain today, and a host of other things. So, yeah, it is amazing on how important your back is in that it does everything. When you start getting back pain, when I had that back pain, then I realized, okay, this is a real thing, and it sucks. So, yeah, it is not good. It is not good. Ferrith says, CrossFit, get back up there. CrossFit says this morning was not absolutely miserable. Still feel like crap, but not like dying. Okay, well, that's good. That's good. Take it easy. Ease into it. Go use half the weight. That's something I've learned, that when I get injured or whatever, it ends up going back. I want to go hard and fast, but I have to force myself. And like with a shoulder injury, and of course with my back, when I go back to the gym Monday, I'll use half the weight that I normally do. So my image of you in the Marines is more and more like those movies. Helicopter crash. Also, did you stitch your own wounds in the bush? No. I was in the Army, but the helicopter crash, it was actually here in Korea. It was a joint training mission. It wasn't anything real world operator crap. It was just where a bunch of us were in a helicopter, ROK soldiers, U.S. soldiers. We're in a Black Hawk. I had like a 75-pound rucksack because I was doing that whole fun radio on the back with a bunch of spare batteries and all my crap. and the helicopter ended up having some mechanical problems. And we were flying up north, not in North Korea, but north in South Korea. And then there was this valley that we were flying in, and there was a mechanical problem, so I had to go down. Well, there was no place to land except for this sandbar that was in the middle of this river that we were kind of flying through and going on our way to in LZ and do our little joint mission training thing. So anyway, the helicopter goes down, and it ends up to where kind of auto rotated. It was like a mechanical problem that wasn't like, oh my gosh, but still, it was pucker. I puckered really hard. And of course, I got this rucksack on. We're in this Black Hawk, and I'm bent over like this. And the Black Hawk went onto the sandbar, and there was so much force that it buried the wheels of the Black Hawk and landed on its belly. And then the blades of the aircraft bent, and we couldn't fly. So we had to wait for, and of course, we're in the middle of this river, and then we had to get, we had to put a rope across, and then somebody went across and put a rope, and then they drug us through the water and all this stuff to get to the shore and everything. And then, we had to wait there 2 days. Unfortunately, I don't know why we had to wait 2 days. It's not like they didn't know where we were at. We had I was the radio guy, and I've got my radio and stuff. Of course, my back was sore and hurting in the whole 9 yards. And then, it was, I see the flight surgeon who was out there, and he's like, here's some Motrin. But unfortunately, I ended up with 3 herniated discs. So I've got one in my upper back, I got like 2 in my lower back, and then it impinges on, of course, the spinal column and the nerves and all that stuff. So I've got like chronic pain since then, and it got progressively worse over time. So that's my fun little story of being in a helicopter crash. And but I didn't have to stitch up my own wounds. One time I broke my toe on my right foot, my pinky toe. So if this was a toe, it was sticking out 90 degrees, and so I had to pull it out and I reset it. I did that by myself. So yeah, a little bit of crazy stuff in the military. Mad Mick says that would scare the piss out of me. I'm not crazy about helicopters as it is. It wasn't. I didn't see like my life flash before my eyes. I was more pissed than anything else. It's like, damn it, and then we hit, and it was just like, boom. It wasn't like the movies at all. It was. I didn't have a headset on, so I just had earplugs, and so, but somebody had let me use and say, hey, we're going to go down, brace for impact, hold on, everything's going to be okay. The pilot was really cool. So then gave the headphones back to the crew chief or whatever. And then, we landed, and it was after watching like war movies and all that stuff, it was like thud, and then the blades are still turning, and then it stops, and then it's like, oh shit, now what are we gonna do? I don't know, it's just kind of a weird thing. So Ferrith says, oh my God, Steve, I had a broken toe and almost passed out watching it, being hypermobile because of the break. Yeah, I was pissed off when I broke my toe, and we were actually moving. And so I had all these boxes, and I had this ammo can full of ammunition, and then like the phone rang, and I'm running down the hall. Well, my toe caught the ammo can full of ammo, which is going to be like 20, 30 pounds, and snap, and it ended up, being 90 degrees. It actually broke in 2 places. And I looked down, and I saw it, and I was like, damn it. And then I'm thinking, I got to go to the emergency room. Then I'm like, damn it, I got to pay for the emergency room, damn it. And then it was like, okay, but I was in the military, but I was like, I got to fix this. So I grabbed the toe, and I pulled it out and up and then down, and then it was still a little bit off. So I had to pull it out again and then shoved it back in. And then it was like, okay, because I figured I better do it then, because if I wait, it's going to hurt it even more. So I took advantage of the shock and just used that and put it back. And then the wife told me I had to go to the emergency room. I go to the emergency room. It was like $2,500, and of course that later got covered by my military. And then they're like, yeah, it looks like it broke in two places, and but yeah, it's set. And then the emergency room doc is asking, well, how did it break? And it not, and then I told him the story that I pulled it out and then put it back, and it was still crooked, and I pulled it out again. He goes, so you reset your own toe? And he goes, yeah, you did a great job, and it still cost me $2,500. So go figure. But yes, adrenaline is fun, and it was the mother of all foot stubs. Yes, indeed. Faritha says he broke my leg at acrobatics and walked to the doctor still laughing. Oh, you're better than me. Holy crow. I just had a toe. You had a leg. Holy crow. That's amazing. So anyway, enough of the war stories. So we're going to go back, and I'm going to do a little bit of adjustment on here because I didn't like the overhangs on these hooks on these things like I ended up showing you. They're kind of boogered up a little bit, and we're going to go back to Creality Print. And now that we have this here, so yeah, that was like the original one that I ended up doing. That one did pretty good. And then I printed out these, and then I have these here. So I think what I'm going to end up doing, and we'll go to the supports. We'll see if we go to normal and 0.25. Let's go to 0.25 should be good. And lower surfaces, generally more support contact surfaces. I don't know about that. I haven't messed with that. But top interface layers. Why is there no top interface layers? Usually I put two. I think maybe that's the reason why I had those issues. I'm not sure why that's there. Support wall loops 2 is normal. Interface spacing is 0.5. Maybe I should end up doing, because I was looking over some notes, top interface spacing. Interface layers. Grid top interface spacing, that's what we're looking at. 0.4. So maybe we can kind of make it just a little bit tighter. And then the interface pattern grid, and let's see, bottom interface layers 2. Oh, it says 1. I just leave it at 2. I don't think that's going to be a big deal because it's all going to be on the plate. Top layer interface layers says 3. I think 2 will be good on that. Base pattern spacing 2.5. This one says 3. I can't remember why I did 3. Base pattern, I don't think that's going to make much of a difference. It says honeycomb, but we'll just keep it a rectilinear and we'll see what happens. And we'll slice this plate up and we'll see how this goes. I did see some videos. I'd see some videos talking about overhangs and stuff like that. And able to, I did some test pieces a while back on some overhangs. And so you can kind of see some better stuff. So we'll see. Of course, it's real hard because this camera is not really good. But yeah, I want to try to improve the overhangs on that. So, hey, we got Terry's here. Cool, Terry, welcome aboard. Good to see you. And we'll take a look at. Yeah, there we go. So there, I think this could answer the problem of why I had those ends buggered up. And so with the interface spacing, I think we might be able to get a little bit going on. Let's see if we can take a look at this from another angle. So yeah, I think that might help as far as like getting a, but as far as the interface layer, I don't know. Maybe do something a little bit, tiny bit smaller. We'll see how that goes. I don't know. Interface spacing. If we go back to 5, let's see what that looks like. What's the notes on there? Interface pattern. Red or rectilinear interlaced. Let's try that and see what that looks like. Yeah, I think that looks a little bit better. A little bit smaller than the previous one. I think we'll give that a shot and see what happens. Okay, whoa, relax there, Johnny. So I think that'll clear up some of the little stuff that we had there. So this will end up being 413 grams, 14 hours and 18 minutes, $8.70 or 27 cents for these 4 racks, which will hold 40 paints. I've got 4 of these printed out, so that was, you know, another $8 there. But I've got, let's see, how many paint racks do I need to? So I got my Citadel paints; those are done. For my Army Painter paints, I have 50 of those, so I'll need 5 racks. And then the Speed paints, there's 48 paints, so I'll need 5 racks of that. And then I have the Airbrush Army Painter paints, and I have 60 of those, so I'll need 6 of those. So I printed out the first set of, what, we got 4? Yeah, 16, so we got to do 12 more. Yeah, it's good. But this will be cheaper than doing the multi-board stuff and printing out the actual panels and trying, instead of using the pegboard that I bought. That would be crazy amount of money. So, you know, it's one thing to see it, people making those things and plastering an entire wall. That's a lot of filament. And then you have to do the connectors, and then you have to drill into the wall to get the boards on the wall and all that stuff. So there's that expense. And then you have to print out the stuff, you know, the racks and whatever. So by spending just like $116 for that pegboard, steel pegboard, which is a pretty significant, I mean, that's a lot of real estate there. That'll save me a lot of money, and I didn't want to spend so much time, because again, doing 4 of these things, you know, that's 14 hours worth of work. So yeah, it's boom. We'll see how we go. Matter of fact, let's head over there and let's take a look at the paint station. So we'll go over there and we'll see how these fit, because I might have to adjust these a little bit. I guess I could turn my tablet on. So done. Okay. And now I don't want prime whatever YouTube thing. Okay. So when I first started, I had, like I said, I had my regular paint rack that I had made like this, and then I had to make the hooks. So I made the hooks and did those, and these ended up being really good as far as these connectors there. You can see the bottoms of those are really good. And these ended up in not so good. As you see, those are kind of boogered up. So yeah, those are a little rough. So I'll have to sand those. And I think I did the other ones. I think I did these with the auto supports, just normal supports. So yeah, I'll just have to end up, the holes line up, I'm just going to have to sand these. I wonder if any of these will. Yeah, I'm going to have to sand all those, definitely. That one looks a little bit better, but I don't know, we'll see. Yeah, again, just a little bit too buggered up on there. But hopefully on the next batch, we'll have a little bit better condition here. So I'll have to just sand these down, and that shouldn't be a problem. But yeah, that's what these end up being. And so these work out really good in that 40-degree angle. So you can see there, boom, everything's good to go. So yeah, turned out pretty good, pretty good. So a little bit of sanding. I had some that were really boogered up because I forgot to put supports. So yeah, go figure. Got to pay attention to those things, imagine that. So eventually we'll be able to get rid of kind of like this stuff here. This kind of like laser cut little fiber board or whatever. And then we can have something a little bit more professional looking. And I think that looks really, really good. So, and I like it because you can still see the paint colors. You know, they're good to go on that. And then they fit. Maximizes the space at that 40-degree angle. And yeah, it ends up, it's been a good little project. A little bit of brim on here that I need to take off, but I don't think it's that big of a deal. So, but other than that, turned out pretty good. Turned out pretty good. We'll just have to do some sanding on that stuff. We got Swedish Forge in the house. George popped in and said hi. If you make them, you could design breakaway support into the model, save some filaments, more than the generated ones. I think I know what you're talking about. Let's go back to the desk. And get back to the, see it in big letters. See it in big letters. Let's see what it says. So Ferrith says, I could design a breakaway support into the model, save some filament, more reliable than the generated ones. Swedish Forge says, hey Steve, do you have any tips for a good mask for airbrush? Honestly, no. My little airbrush station has a fan, and so it evacuates. It works pretty good. I ended up getting that off of Amazon. And let me see if I can pull that up. I can show you. So for airbrushing, little miniatures and stuff like that. Airbrush. What do we call that? Airbrush booth. I'll kind of show you what we ended up getting. And these are just kind of like no-name little airbrush booths. And, you know, so around $100 or something like that. It says it's portable, but you just put it up and you're good to go. The one that I ended up getting had It had the light and the fan. So, but just basically something like that, or something like that. That's $159, but you kind of get what it's looking at. And so you got some lights in there. That's a little bit different than the one I got, but you can kind of see on the back it's got two switches. So you have one for the light, one for the fan, variable resistor for the light and the fan, but just something like that. I think this is kind of the one that looks like the one I got. That's about what it looks. You can find some with some cheaper prices. Yeah, mine's kind of got like that, except it has a variable resistor knob for the light switch and the fans. So, pretty decent. Yeah. Swedish says that he wants to have a airbrush mask, or when he airbrushes, he wants a. So you want like a respirator. Now, I haven't looked into respirators, but I think eventually, if I start doing larger stuff, I'll definitely want to get a respirator. So probably like 3M or something like that. Respirator. So I haven't really looked into them much, but if we take a look at just some respirators, and as long as you get like something with like a 3M filter or something like that, like 3M, something like that, you should be good to go. I know we used some of these when, matter of fact, I think it was this one here. Yeah, the P100. The P100, and then when I worked in corrections, we had one that was kind of like a full face like that one, but it wasn't that one. But they used it in the fiberglass shop, but it was kind of a full-faced one, but it was a 3M version, if I'm not mistaken. But any 3M respirator should be good to go if you're doing stuff like that. You can't go wrong with 3M. They're pretty solid. So something like that. Yeah, check into that. Should be good. Ferrith says, I have a respirator. I'd probably head over to Home Depot or Lowe's into the paint department. Yeah, that's if you're in the U.S., definitely do that. I don't have that opportunity, though I could. I could check out Coupang since I'm not in the States, and we could check out. Excuse me. So there's the pegboard I ended up getting. The only thing I didn't like about this is like in the picture, you see that bottom brace is significantly huge. That's kind of like the size of a 2x4. Well, on this, it's like a 3/4 inch square tubing and it's really flimsy. So, and this one has feet that kind of angle and go down. This one doesn't. You can see that they cut some corners on this stuff. But if we look for respirator, we can see that we got kind of like a, oh, okay, that's not bad. I think that's the one, looks very similar to what we used in corrections, was that one there in the fiberglass plant or facility where they made like huge tanks and slip and slides and stuff like that. But yeah, I just get like just like a 3M little respirator, get some spare filters, and you should be good to go. That's not bad. 28,000 won. Of course, this is going to take a while to get delivered. Guaranteed to arrive tomorrow. Guaranteed to arrive tomorrow. Some stuff is in country. A lot of the stuff that's not, excuse me, is they order it from the United States. They act like a middleman, so you'd have to wait like a couple of weeks to get that stuff. So, but yeah, just a respirator, something that would be able to be delivered the next day or something within 1 or 2 days. If it's here in Korea, then that would be all right. Yeah, like that. That one's guaranteed to arrive tomorrow on Monday, probably late Monday evening, so something like that. So yeah, just a little of that. And then they have a discount pricing, so it's like 25,000 won. Oh, that's for the set. Okay. So I'd have to get the mask and everything. Still, not bad. Of course, it's all in Korean. But something like that. I would definitely get that if I would do the larger stuff that I'm planning on doing. So, yeah, respirators are good. Respirators are good. That'll have to wait a little bit, though. The other thing that I'm thinking about getting is, where is it? Where is it? For the print room is, IKEA stuff. And getting, this is going to be the next big thing, is going to be this here. So I'm looking at IKEA, and we'll see how that goes. But looking at getting some base cabinets that we see there, and I can measure out, and I could get 3 of these, and it would be okay. But, you know, that's like almost 2 million won. So basically it's 2,300 won, 2,100. And then with the laminate top on there, do the exchange rate, that's going to be almost $1,500. So yeah, I don't know. Maybe just 2 of those, then we'll have a space in between, something like that. But that would give me a lot of drawer space, and then we could put the printers on top, you know, and all that stuff. We could see how that goes. But yeah, that's going to be a little expensive. And then the current thing that I have for my printer that is sitting on, I could move that and put my resin printing stuff on that. So yeah, I can do that. We'll see how that goes. But yeah, other than that, that's it. Yeah, safety first. Safety first. Yeah, it's a little pricey there. I don't know if I'm going to do that. Because I want drawers. I could get base cabinets, which would be much cheaper, but then you lose out because you just have like some swinging doors, like some kitchen base cabinets with just a couple of doors on it, and you have a bunch of space, but you don't have drawers. So I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how that goes. So yeah, other than that, that's what we got going on. Ferrithus was talking about I could design a breakaway support into the model, save some filament. That would be interesting on how I would end up doing that. That is an interesting concept. No, it's not that one. I think I know what you're talking about. George says, look, a big toolbox instead. Yeah, like the garage organizer toolbox things. Yeah, that would be awesome. Those are pretty expensive as well. So here in Korea, and they're not as common as you would think. So I don't know. I don't know how that would work. Ferrith is talking about we could end up He's talking about doing something to be able to build a support to support that, which would be an interesting thing. So I'd have to do something, I don't know, just do like a little, and just put it a few millimeters away. We could do something like that. And I don't know, you're talking about just kind of like that would probably have to be a little bit bigger. Come on. And do something like that, and then we could raise that up. And then as far as the support, the problem is your support is going to, I wish they had like a paint feature on here. But basically your supports are going to be kind of like right around that area there. Swedish says if your wall is unstable, you might want to stabilize it with a cross on the backside wall and rivet it with aluminum strips. Just a thought. We run that by the wall's unstable. The problem is that back wall isn't a back wall, they're windows. So yeah, I would, if I had a wall, I'd do that. I'd secure the pegboard to the wall, but it's kind of like doing the stand thing. And yeah, it's, but I did end up actually get a little bit of support. If I can kind of show you what I'm talking about. Maybe we can adjust and we can look, and I'll show you through that there. So these, if you can see this right here, these are like those expandable, they're like the expandable rods, and if you screw them, they get longer and they have a little spring in them. So to get a little bit of stability, I was able to, I had some of those, and just, ooh, easy, Johnny, easy, knocking over stuff. And so this gives a little bit of stability, a little bit better, because I've got 3 of those. But yeah, I don't know. Now I might be able to, I don't know, it depends on what the, there is the frame for the window right here. I don't know if you can see that, but behind this there's a frame, but it's some type of, so I might be able to drill into that, and if I had some self-tappers, then I could secure the top of this on this side. I don't know about this side, is that? Yeah, that's not going to be able to work there. That's not even going up against the wall. So, yeah, I don't know. It is what it is. The joys of, if it was a wall, it'd be so easy. Because even then, yeah, I could just mount the stand up to the wall and I'd be good to go. So, I don't know. Ferrithus says, if you're trying to show me something, we're currently not seeing your screen. Really? Am I there now? George says, or do like I did with my garage and go to business that was shutting down. They sold me shelves for real cheap. Yeah, I've done that in the States. Um, yeah, I think this is good here. We should be good, but that's a good idea though. You can also take a wooden block and double-sided tape on the back to make it more stable. Yeah, that's true. So, oh, okay. Ferthus was talking about when you were working on the custom supports. Oh, yeah. Oh, probably because I wasn't sharing my screen, right? There. So I was thinking about something kind of like that. And then I'd have to have something to go up there. So I'm not sure I could end up that. Don't worry. And then I'm not sure how that would work. That would be interesting because it would have to be thin. So if we're looking, what is the distance? That's 0.4. Oh, I see what you're saying. So Ferrithus says I would flatten the bottoms of those tubes so it sit flat on the supports. Oh, okay. I see what you're saying. Gotcha. He said you could also just make a thin support underneath. Yeah, that's what I was. I guess I would be limited, but it's kind of like right on that edge there is where we're looking at. So yeah, I don't know. That would be. Yeah, I could do like a little breakaway fin here and something like that to be able to do that. And then I'd have to follow the angle. So I'm sorry, I'm making you all seasick. Make the angle so that it would be kind of like that, and then that way it would follow all the way up, which I'm not sure how I would be able to do that. I'd have to, yeah, that'd be interesting. And then of course I'd have to make this connect so there wouldn't be an overhang here. So, but yeah, following that contour of the that hook would be something. Which Ferrithus says, yeah, you could make a fin to follow the contour all the way to the build plate. It's super thin, like 0.8. Yeah. I think I could do something like that. Just make a fin, tail and merge. It's solid pieces. Yeah, they're solid. So yeah, I could do something like that. And then bring that down so it's on the face. And I can do something like that and get it like that. And then, you know what I could do? Well, let's take that. And what is the distance on that? 0.3, we could put 0.8. 0.8. Earth says on the base of the build plate, I'd make a wide rectangle for the bed adhesion, just a thin wall to go up into the model. Yeah. So it would go something, probably we could do something like that. Of course, that's a little big, but just something to, yeah, to be able to bite into that and have something going up like that. So something kind of like that. Or, oh, you know what I could do? Well, I could drag that up. That would give it a little bit more beef and go something like that. Then extend that out to there. Yeah, I'd want adhesion. What's that? 5 millimeters? Okay, that could work. And then we could, is that, we could combine those together, and then we could move that about right there. Bertha says, if you really want to make it secure, you can connect the fin to the back wall of your model every few millimeters with a thin bridge for 2 to 2 layers. That way it just tears off after printing. Okay, I see what you're saying. So what I'd end up doing is I could do something like this. That'll be on the back wall. We could do 2. What does that end up being? You could probably just make that 1. And then I could do something like this. So you're talking about something like that, and then have like a so something like that. Bertha says, I follow this YouTuber that designs a sort of supports in his print farm to speed up printing and make the parts fail safe. So yeah, I can do something like this and then combine, well, let's do this here. I think I know what you're talking about. That sounds vaguely familiar. So I could end up just having like a little piece like that. We could just do another one there. And so that way there would be some connections there. I guess what we could end up doing, we could take this down and something like that. And then maybe I could even round these off or something. Bertha says mini bridge just need to be 1 or 2 layers tall so the fin is attached and doesn't wobble while being printed. Ah, okay, I see what you're saying. Gotcha. So that would have to be really, really thin. So, interesting. So, like 0.1 something. I see what you're saying. So we could do something like that. And then just I found this on the web for Chef. Check it out. My phone is acting up. So I could do something like that. So basically, if we do that, and then we end up with kind of like that thing there. I see what you're getting at. And then, yeah, as long as this is, and I would kind of want that angled. So that way we don't have a, I mean, that's not bad, but getting up, well, maybe just have an angled bit there. So that way you don't need supports. And then I could take all this. No, I don't want to do that. Bertha says, yep, exactly like that. Just tears off the end. I see what you're saying. Gotcha. Gotcha. So do something like that. I could take this. I could kind of just do that. We have a little bit of connection there. you don't need to support those tiny bridges. They're connected on both sides. Okay, I see what you're saying. Gotcha. So something like that. And just so we got a base on there, we could connect these, do that all together. And then I could end up taking this, and to get that contour, I'll grab, let's see, what do I want? I grab this, make this a hole. And yeah, that's enough. And then I could just combine these. And is that going to work? No. Yep, there we go. So yeah. Oh, look at that. And then we could take something like this. And then we could just move our support like that into where it's just barely touching. And I'd have to make sure that it's like right on there. Let's see if we can make this transparent. No, it's not going to do anything for us. We can see we got a little bit of a gap. Right there. And so we could just ding. And then we'd have our support. Interesting. You know what it could end up doing is I could take this. Let's make another copy of this because I don't want to ruin that one. We could do this. That top part is a little bit big. And then what I could end up doing is just cut this and just print this one piece out with that support, and we could see how that works. And then that way, and I could probably clean up that. I could end up here. Let's go ahead and I'll put that there. We'll move this up, move this down. I'll just give a little bit of like that. We'll combine that, and that'll give us a little bit more, maybe a little bit more. It could be good. Maybe just a tiny bit. No, that's not what I want. Because that's 0.1, 0.2. We do something like that. And then we can merge those. And that could end up being our support once this does this thing here. So, like that. And then we could move this into place. And just as long as it ends up, we get that connection there. And boom. And move this over so it's about the center, which is probably about right there. We do see that it's contacting a little bit. There. So we could do something like that. Now, let's go ahead and we'll join that and this part together. So that's all one piece. And then we'll get our little hole maker here. And what we could end up doing is extending this out, this up, this over. And we'll join these two together. And then we could do the same thing on the other side. So that way we could end up doing a little test piece. We could print that out and see if this support works. So we could do the same thing here. So that way we don't have to waste a bunch of filament, which is a fabulous idea. Oh, come on now. Oh. There we go. I'll select that, group that together. We'll have our hole. And we could even make it even smaller. Because I don't need this whole piece here. Now we're just waiting. And we can do the same thing here. Because we can just do a little bit like that. Just drop this down a little bit. And then we'll combine that. And we can see if this support thing will work. It's a great idea. Great idea. Interesting, interesting. So then, let's go ahead and export this into an STL. And then we'll bring up our Creality print. And we will do another build plate. And by this time we should have our... Nope, not yet. Not yet, no. It's going to take a little while, isn't it? Isn't it? That's what it's going to do. It's going to take a little bit. Still preparing the model. Yeah, that would be interesting. Yeah, we could do a little test print on that and see how that works. See if that will solve our stuff. Ferrith says, no pressure, but this has to work now. I don't want to bring shame to my name. We'll see. We'll see. Might have to make some tweaks, but at least now, I mean, it's all about experimentation and trial and error and see what happens. I mean, if we hit this out of the park, do a home run on this on the first try, I mean, that would be awesome. But I don't know. We'll see. Today's latte was a light bean roast with vanilla and a white chocolate sauce and some regular dairy. This is taking a while. It's like saying, hey, might have to refresh this to see what's going on there. And I don't mind, you know, because on the back of this, no one's going to see it. So whoop-de-doo, no big deal. And we could, this sure is taking a long time. This is taking too, yeah, I thought that was gonna, we need to refresh. So we'll refresh a little bit and we'll see. Swedish says, sent you an email. Okay, we'll take a look at that. So this loads up. And then we could even go so far as to, since we don't need all of that, we can just take off that top part there, because really we just need to see if this will support that there. So we could just take it down to even just right there. We'll combine these two. Again, we'll save a little bit of filament after that processes. Of course, I got so many tabs open. Okay, so there we go. So we do that, and now let's try export. Swedish says he sent me an email, so I'll take a look at that and see what we got. As we're waiting for squirrel, yeah. Squirrel. Bum, 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 bum. Paint holder. Oh, Swedish Ford says, here's my creation for paint holders. You can always customize them for yourself. Files are for FreeCAD. Oh, I don't have FreeCAD, but I will check into that. Actually, I do have FreeCAD. Yes, I do, but I've just never done anything with it. So cool. I will check those out. Thank you, sir. Let's see if we can get back to our... Still preparing to export. It's not exporting, guys. Still got that preparing. Wonder if it's because I got so much stuff open. That could be it. Thank you, thank you. Maybe that will get me into FreeCAD. I need to start learning how to do it. Ferretus, yes, you broke it. Thank you, sir. Oh, there it is. It worked. It worked. You didn't break it. It was just highly complicated, apparently. Just wanted to make sure that it did it right. So, let's go back to Creality Print and let us take a look here. Do download. We'll throw that on there. And we'll take a look at that, and there is our model. And so now, enable support is going away. Boom. So if we slice the plate, ooh, I don't see, ooh, uh-oh, I don't see that. Okay, apparently, maybe if, interesting. How tall are the bridges? That's what I was thinking. This probably needs to be a little bit bigger. Those bridges are small. We're going to have to go through and undo all of this stuff. You know what we could do? Is, no, we don't want that. We want that. Okay, now I've got an idea. Here's what we do. We'll do all the holes. We'll combine all that together. Ferretus says if they're 0.1, they're probably ignored. Make them 0.4. Okay. So we will do that. We will do that. And I want to, oops. Oh, come on, seriously. Okay. Let's try this again. We'll move that out of the way. We'll grab that. We'll undo that. Oh no. Don't tell me we've got to do all this again. We're going to have to do, okay. We can grab this. Now because that, so we want to keep this and this. We'll join those together because that will give us the cutout for the contour. Okay, we got that. And now I I'm going to have to make adjustments to, I'm still going to go through and do this. So we can move that out of the way. We can do this. Do that. I would pay attention and okay, this one. Oh, that's 1 millimeter. No wonder it wasn't working. So 1, 2, 3, 4. I think that's 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4. So we could do that. We have to do the other one. So we go here. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then on the top one, do 1, 2, 3, 4. That'll be like 4 1/4. So then I could do this. I could do that. This, that. And combine that. And that. And that. Combine that. And you know what I should have done is I should have done the contour first. Added that to that point. And so if I have to go back, you know, that's what I'm going to do. Okay, so I think we're good on those. Are we good? Yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4. So we're good on those. So if I take this and then do the contour, that'll be set. And so if we have to make adjustments on the little bridges, and we'll just go ahead and we'll add this together. So now if we have to redo this piece and adjust the bridging on there, then we won't have so much craziness. We could just go ahead and we won't have to undo everything in the kitchen sink. So now we could combine that. And as soon as that ends up being done, and now we could export that. We'll go try this one. I'm trying to wrap my head around, like when you take parts away and join like holes and stuff like that to get like what we did with the contour of this thing. You get your base shape, and then anything that you want to adjust, do that last. Kind of like what we did here. I'm still trying to wrap my brain around that stuff because, like I said, I'm not the sharpest knife in the drawer. So, some good stuff. Ferrith says, aren't you missing the test part now that this is support? You still need to combine them. Oh yeah, that's right. I'm going to blame the lack of, now it's officially done. Before I hadn't finished my latte, so that is the, yeah. Right? I could print the support. Yeah, we printed support. Yeah, that would be just about right. Okay, so now, you know what? We can just grab, we'll grab this one. We'll grab this. We'll do the alignment tool. Make sure we do, come on. Align. And so that way, there's that. And let's get back here. So here's an interesting thing I found out. So let's say we've got like this, and I want to try to align it in the center of this. I can select, yeah, I know, something went wrong. What are the odds? I can select both of these items. I can go up here to where it says align, click on the green deal, and I've got these where I could center this or align it in different positions. So we want to do it right there. And then what we can end up doing is just going like this, and then we just do some left clicking at 0.1 increments. And we just need to zoom in to where you can see we got a little bit of gap there. And we should be good to go. So now we combine both of these. And I'm going to refresh this page because I probably got too many tabs open. So I'll do the refresh tab thing. I guess I could close some stuff too. Yeah, I don't need that tab open. I don't need that.
Hello, welcome to...
Don't need that. Don't need that.
So you want to...
Don't need that. Okay. Close a bunch of tabs. We'll see how that goes. And we'll go back. Okay, so there's our part. And we should be good to go on that. See if we got it. Yep, that's the other thing you could end up doing is using the transparent, hit T. And I think we've got it good. I don't know, let me see. Nope, that's not what I want. Seriously. I don't want 1 millimeter. I'll make that like that, and then we can go through, and then if we spin this around a little bit, we can take a look. And we can see on the bottom there how that is. So that's flush, so that's a little bit in, so that's what we want there. Okay. Now we'll combine these together, and once that's done, now let's export and give this a shot. Keep your fingers crossed, folks. Maybe we could print this out and see if this works. We will see. We will see. I guess we can go back to Crowdy Print. And we could get rid of that because that wasn't working. Waiting patiently to see what's going on. Oh, for those of you who don't know, I think it's like Lunar New Year. So that's a big thing here in Asia, big thing in Korea. Everybody goes to like their home. So a lot of people will be traveling. They've probably already traveled because it's the weekend. But everybody goes back to their home. It's kind of like a big New Year's celebration. Kind of pay respect to the ancestors and things like that. We were going to go, but it ends up that, unfortunately, there are some people that are sick, so we're just going to not be able to make it. So this year is going to be kind of a wash, but we'll do stuff with us and our daughter, and we'll have some fun time here. So that'll be good. And it's taking too long. Seriously. Tinkercad. I really need to learn a different program. Ferrith says it's like a 14-day thing. I get emails from manufacturers telling me there'll be delays due to the Lunar New Year. Yeah, they will. It's not necessarily 14 days. I'm not sure how many days. I think it's 3-4 days, maybe a week. But not too bad. Okay, let's try this. Again, I should probably go through and close a bunch of my tabs. I got some other stuff open. Oh yeah, I've got a whole nother thing. IKEA is going away. That's got to go away. That's got to go away. That looks cool. I'll save that. It's funny how many tabs I will have open.
Blame it on
That, get rid of that, get rid of that, get rid of that, that. I'm just going to close stuff. So we got rid of about 20 tabs. We got rid of 20 tabs. It's still not going. We'll refresh it one more time and we'll give it a shot. Please, please, please work. Loading the document. Export. Boom. Fingers crossed. We'll see how it goes. And it's weird because it's such a small part. Barrett said he broke it again. Shame on you. Shame on you for breaking it. Finished up my Purity Cross from Warhammer. Gave the one to the store. They really liked it a lot. This one is for my daughter. I've got mine hanging up on the wall. So, man, this is taking a while. Maybe this means I need to get into... did it work? Yes, it worked. Alrighty. Let's get back to Crowdy Print. Yeah, it turned out pretty nice. It really did. I like it a lot. It looks good up on the wall. Alrighty, let's get back to our desktop here. Crowdy Print. We'll do our download. And there it is. We'll do that one. We can move that one to the trash, so we don't need that. And there it is. Let's just make sure that this is sitting on the plate. And there it is. So let's slice it and we'll see if the bridging works. Hey, look at that. Ooh, that is tiny bridging. You think that's going to work? And then that is... that doesn't look like it's centered though, does it? Oh, I think I centered it wrong. Dang it. So, Mr. Ferrithus, do you think that'll print out with 2 strands? I don't know. Ferrithus says, yes, they're there just to attach the fin to the back of the model. Okay. But I don't think I have it. Yeah, I don't have it centered. See that? I screwed it up. Okay, so we've got that. Nope, we don't want to do that. But we want it more in the center. Of course, 1 millimeter jump is going to be a bit too big. That looks centered, I think. It's either 6 of one or half a dozen of the other. I think that's going to be good. So we're going to have to run through this again. We'll do that. Boom. We'll go back to Creality. We'll get rid of this guy. Delete. That. We'll export again. Ferrith says you can look at the toolpath in the sliced model. It should come to the main model outer wall, bridge over, contour the fin, then return to the main model outer wall. It's a continuous line. We will take a look at that. But other than that, the other idea that you could end up doing, kind of like what you ended up saying, was taking and then maybe making this a little bit flat. I don't know. Try to make that area flat and so do supports that way. But I don't know. I'm really kind of interested in seeing how this is going to work out. If we can get it to export. Preparing. This is taking a while. Downloads. We can get rid of that. What else is going on? I don't know. This will be interesting. Why is it taking so long? Let's just refresh this. Ferrith says, don't underestimate the fin. I won't. We will try the fin. Okay, the document is loaded. We have our test. We'll go to export. STL. Everybody cross your fingers. Hit the like button. Maybe it'll export if you do that. Send some likes. Send some love to the Mechanicus, the machine gods. Come on. Mechanicus. Adeptus Mechanicus. For the Emperor. Export for the Emperor. Come on. You're one of those smokers from Warhammer. They used to pray to the machine spirits. I know, like kind of like the Catholics. I think I know what you're talking about. I used to be Catholic. So yeah, I was actually an altar boy, so I had the incense with the ball and the chain and going through and, following the priest and all that. So that was kind of, when I saw that in Warhammer, it was like, ooh, that brings back memories. I always thought that was kind of cool. Don't tell me. Ferrith says there's a YouTube video where someone is using one to bless the detector on one of our particle accelerators on YouTube. Why not? Take everything you can get. Oh, and apparently that worked. Alrighty, let's get back. Go back to our desktop. We have our downloads. There is our fin in all its glory and goodness. And we'll just make sure that it's setting just in case. And we have no supports, so we'll slice the plate. We got our two little lines there. I'm kind of excited about this. Anybody else? See, but then this here, that contour there, is, oh, you know what we could take a look at? If we go to support, ooh, that covers the support area. Oh, because we don't have enable supports. Excuse me. Let's go back here, that, supports. Interesting. Interesting. Okay, well, that's with supports. Of course, that's not what we want because we just want the fin. So we'll just slice this up, and now we'll take a look. Let's go ahead and go down here. Done. We can end up saying, yep, look at that. Look at that. Let's see if we can run this. We'll see how it just kind of, and oh, it's not up enough. Maybe it'll work now. Let's try that. Come on, a little bit. Go across. Yep, there it goes. Alrighty. So that should work. And this is only going to take 14 minutes and 49 seconds. It's going to cost us 3 cents to do this little test piece. Swedish says, I'm an old man. I have to crawl into bed now, but I'll watch on TV. Have a good one. Alrighty. Thank you, sir. Thanks for stopping by. Have a good one. Get well rested. Okay. Barrett says, looking perfect. Alrighty. So we'll take this. We'll send this over. We got a build plate on there. We're using our external spool. I'll go ahead and knock this out and we'll give it a shot. Ferrithus says that I'm costing you 3 cents, probably just as much in electric. But it's the condition of the print on that overhang, and if that comes out good, then that's worth way more than 3 cents. So we will see. We will see. All right, Swedish Ford. He does a little hand wave thing. Shaka! Peace. Have a good one. I wonder. Barrett says, I would print too, so the print head moves away from the model for a second for cooling, like in a larger model. Ah, you bring that up now. Yeah, okay. No big deal. We'll just do one like this and we'll see what happens. Well, I guess I could stop it. Yeah, let's go ahead and stop it. Okay. Yep. In the print early. We'll go back. He said, I am chaos. Alrighty, just for you. We'll do a clone. We'll do one more. And we'll just do, kind of, since they're kind of spaced out, we'll just kind of, to mimic the distance. We'll slice the plate up. That's going to take 18 minutes. Oh, Lord. You just cost me 4 minutes. Barrett, this. Seriously? Okay, let's send it back, and we'll see how this goes. And oh, I got to go. I think I got to go to the machine. Yep, okay. Stop. Stop, 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 stoppity, stop, stop. I don't want it to print. Okay, there we go. Alrighty. There. Did I break it? No. For some weird reason, if I cancel a print, even if I do it on Creality Print like we did here, I still have to go to the machine and it'll say print canceled and you have to press OK and then you can do another print. So Creality needs to get their head out of their fourth point of contact. Let's try this again. Finding the failure points is the path to success. So now we'll see how this goes. Yeah, it's kind of odd because if you go down here, you can pause and you can stop the print. Again, I can stop it from here, but I have to go to the machine because it'll say the print is stopped, but you have to press OK to be able to clear it to do another print. So it kind of defeats the purpose of having the program that says you can stop the print. It will stop it, but you see what I'm saying? It's just like they did some work, but not enough. So we'll see how this goes. But the fin thing, that's kind of interesting. I like it. Thank you, Mr. Veritas. We will take a look at the fin thing. Now, is it going to be a home run? I don't know. That is the question. We will see. Ferris says, strange. Is that new? Never had that issue. Not that I... Well, no, I have had that issue before. I'm not sure... At least with this firmware version I have, obviously, and then the one prior to that, but I skipped the previous firmware version, so I had the one before that. So I can't remember offhand. Maybe I did. Ferris says, more importantly, how much time or material does that fin really save? I don't know. The fin is pretty thin, so compared to, you know, this is the regular tree support that we ended up using. So if it uses less than that, then that's good. But again, this looks like there's no interface layers. Maybe that's why those ends are buggered up. You kind of see that? I know it's hard, it's not going to focus, but there's no interface layers on that. That's why those ends are boogered up. I don't think that is odd. Why would there not be interface layers? Everything's heating up. Extruding. Doing the extruding thing, nozzle temp, boom, bed temp. Is the door closed on that? Yep. So we will see, we will see. But yeah, interesting, interesting. But that's the question, because I got to do a bunch more of these. I did do normal on these. Default to top Z distance 0.25, top interface layers 2, spacing, interface pattern rectilinear. Let's make that 3 top interface layers. Change that to 0.4 for interface spacing. And we will slice this plate up and see what this looks like. It's just odd that there wasn't interface layers on this. That's why those pieces were all jacked up. Interesting. Huh. These are just regular supports. And I think with 3 layers, I think with the 3 layers, I think that'll help. But I'm still interested to see how this, how the fin thing will do. That should be pretty interesting. Now that you mention it, talking about the fin supports, I think I know who you're talking about. It's the guy. He has a print farm, white dude. He sells stuff. That really narrows it down, doesn't it? It's the white dude that has a print farm that sells stuff. But it's more like, I think, and he does a lot of reels on YouTube. I think I know who you're talking about. Now that sounds familiar. Let me see if I can find him out. Excuse me. Air quality's been really bad here in Korea. Nope, not him, not him, not him. Nope, 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 nope. That's the one thing about being in Korea is the air quality is getting rough. Oh, where was that guy? No, that's not him. That's not him. I haven't seen him in a while. Verithus says that air quality is mega dry. My humidifier goes through a gallon of water every day to keep from shocking myself and my cat all day. Yeah, and we get through the winter. We have the radiant heat flooring, so the heat comes up through the floor, so your feet aren't cold, but it does dry out the air. So we run a humidifier at night. So, of course, now that I'm looking for this dude, I know I can see him in my mind's eye. Shorts? Maybe it's under shorts.
To lift some weights in or something.
No, I don't want that. That's not him. That's not him. Of course, now that I'm looking for him, I can't find him. I don't know. Let's try 3D and farm. Maybe find him that way. No, that's not him. That's not him. Print Farm Academy, no. Shop Nation. Hey, we got Pyro Corona. Hello, welcome to the stream. We're just kind of checking out some 3D printing stuff and trying out a cool little deal that we created in Tinkercad. So if we go back to our desktop here, what we ended up doing, I was talking about how, let me move this over. So basically what I ended up doing in Tinkercad was making some paint racks with some little hooks on the back, angled at 40 degrees, so we could put that onto our pegboard. So we can have a real professional looking, paint rack thing instead of some laser cut little wood deals. And then Mr. Ferrithus ended up talking about a fin as support. And so that's what we ended up doing, is creating this fin with some very small bridges. And then we took that into Creality Print, and we're printing this stuff out. So we're going to see, we got about 11 minutes left, so we'll see how that goes. And if those fins print out great, then we could put those on the next ones that we print out. So, and in case you're wondering, so there's the so there's the pegboard, and then there's the paint racks that I ended up making. So, but the underside, the overhangs on the little hooks that go into those holes, it ends up that those things were they were a little rough, So Mr. Ferrithus came up and suggested doing the little fins, so we're going to see how that prints out. And there's the paint racks that we ended up doing, but with the fin thing, is we're doing that right there. So that way, this is our support. This is the model. If I can get this off of there, come on. So this is the model, and this is going to be the support fin that we see there, and we'll see how well that breaks away. So yeah, we'll just give that a shot and see how that works. So we're just kind of chilling, trying some different stuff and see how that works. And what is the thickness of the fin that we made? That's another thing I want to take a look at. So, I think it ends up, it was like 1 millimeter for the fin. No, it was 0.8 is what the fin distance or thickness was. Yeah, 0.8 was the thickness of the fin, so we'll see how it goes. Pyro says almost looked like an engine part when you showed us the Tinkercad model. Yeah, kind of like that. Kind of like engine block type of thing. Yeah, I know. So kind of like that. Does kind of look like that a little bit. And then I made up some other parts. So we're going to have like, this is going to be our tape measure holder. This is going to be a remote holder. That's going to be our caliper holder. This is just going to be a little pencil holder thing for our wall. And then I did like a paintbrush rack. I just threw some hooks on the back there. And maybe some, some cool little shelf thing here. So we'll see. But the big one is going to be the paint racks. So we'll see if this fin, how this works out. But yeah, the thickness of that fin is 0.8 millimeter. So we'll see how that works. Pyro says, how many hours, how many plates will this take? Well, when we're looking at Creality Print, let's go back to that. And this is printing out. We're just doing that test fin. But for like these, printing out these will hold 10, each one of these will hold 10 17 milliliter bottles of paint, like Army Painter paints. because I do miniature painting and stuff like that. And then when you do the slicing of it, it comes out to 14 hours. And yeah, like 14, almost 15 hours of print time. So yeah. And I need, so the other question was, how many plates will this take? Well, each plate does 4, and I'm going to need 16 of these. So that'll be 4 plates, so basically 15 hours. So 15 hours times 4, it'll be 60 hours of printing to be able to put all my paints up on cool looking paint holders on my pegboard. Yeah, kind of like, yeah, it'll be what it'll be. So yeah, it'll take a little bit of a minute to do that, but I think it'll be worth it, especially the way that those things came out, which is pretty nice, if I do say so myself. So you can end up saying, yeah, I mean, it uses a little bit of material. You know, I could do some stuff to, you know, hollow it out. I could put like since this sits like this, I could put like a teardrop and then hollow it out and use, you know, lose some more material, but I'm not too worried about that. I could do the same thing. I could put holes, try to minimize the amount of material, but it turned out pretty good. And again, these will be sitting at like a 40-degree angle, so that way I can stack these and maximize my storage space. Not bad for Tinkercad. Not bad. Not bad. Old guy. New tricks. Pyro says, I am quite impressed with your Tinkercad models. I tried to get into it, but it's not going great. Imported a picture a week ago, made a 3D model out of that. Don't know how to make it round though. Yeah, there's some stuff there in Tinkercad that you can do, and I just played with it incessantly. Ferret says, yes, Steve does 3D modeling in hard mode when using Tinkercad. I don't know about that. I think I do well, but there's some people on there that just rock it. Let's take a look at some of the other stuff that I ended up doing on Tinkercad. Like one of the bigger projects. Paintboard rack. Did paint rack. I did that. And, ooh, here's one that I ended up doing. So we take a look at that. So I've been doing a lot, as you can see, working on a paint rack station. Not a paint rack, but a carrying case for miniatures that you can carry around. And I did a lot of different versions, so kind of like something like that, and so that you can basically have a tray, and the tray will slide into the slots there, and yeah, you'll be able to carry miniatures and paints and whatever, stuff like that. That went through a bunch of iterations, and this is the latest one here, is this one here. So I ended up taking, because I wanted to save some material, so I kind of vented these out on the sides. But I went a little bit, I got a little bit of holes there. So I went a little bit too deep on that. But the whole idea is, and I'll probably fix that, I'll have to. But that'll go inside a bag. And then, where did it end up? Oh yeah, we've got like a handle. And so print the handle separately, and that'll go up on the top. That'll glue on there with CA glue. And then it's got a slot there. You could end up putting a board through there to secure everything. So yeah, just kind of a thing there. We'll see what happens. Pyro says, that isn't too bad. My A1 keeps trolling me with print time. As an example, if it's showing 5 hours in Bamboo app, my printer makes it 6 hours for some reason. Yeah, I've had that on the Creality print too. There's been some firmware versions where it'll say this time on the slicer, and then the machine will say another time. And even, especially with the last firmware that we had, the time estimates were off. So it's gotten better, but yeah, they need to work on that a little bit. But yeah, I do some okay stuff. I have some fun stuff on here that I end up doing, and like the paint rack and stuff like that. But really, if you want to check out the models that I have done, actually, I don't want that page. I want this one. Check in, and now on Creality Cloud. So I got a number of different models, you know, some paint racks and, you know, stuff like that. And then if you want those, let me put that in the comment section. STL models. And all of those files are free, so you can check those out. And yeah, it's got some decent stuff. Made a teleprompter, never used it. Little shelves, hex miniature shelf, some different things. Paint racks, those are pretty good. You know, airbrush stands, stuff like that. So nothing wild and crazy, but yeah, just kind of some cool stuff that we got going on. So yeah, try to do and learn Tinkercad. I think I do pretty decent at it. I do well. But a guy just sent me some stuff for FreeCAD files, so I need to really get into something that's a little bit, has more tools. But the learning curve is going to be a little steep on that, so we'll see how that goes. But yeah, it's just, check out YouTube. I've got videos on Tinkercad on stuff, on how to do stuff, and then, yeah, you're free to check those out. But Tinkercad's pretty, I like it. It's simple. Like I said, I'm not the sharpest knife in the drawer. I'm more like a spork. So, but I can do some stuff. I'd like to do more. So there we got about, like now this says that we have 0 minutes, but I don't know, it's pretty close. The time estimate isn't too bad now on Creality Print. I wish it was better. I wish Creality Print would track the amount of filament that it uses. That would be the cool thing. So, Pyro asks, how long have you been creating models on Tinkercad? Any advice you could give? I use hollow shapes and then try to recreate the design I desire. Yeah. That's a good question. How long have I done Tinkercad? Oh, we got, I don't know, I'd say a couple of years. So we finished our print. Looks like we did okay. Ferrith says it does track the amount of filament used so far as I know. Really? So like if I have a spool of filament and I do a bunch of projects, I can go and I can see how much is left over or just how much it's used, I think. I know Bamboo does like a running total on theirs. Let's go get, yeah, filament tracking would be good. But I mostly use the side spool holder, so it's probably much ado about nothing. Let's go grab the print and we'll see how this went. Dun, 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 dun. So 19 minutes, 3 grams. And pulled off the plate. And they're so cute. You know what we'll do? Let's go over to the desk and we can get a little bit of a better camera here with some better light. So that ended up, and get it to focus. Focus. There we go. So you can see we've got a little bit of those strands on there were just barely there. So those will snap off. Ooh, look at that. It's just that bottom piece. And yeah, look at that. See if we can get that to focus. Focus. You see that bottom piece there? It's a lot better than the other one. And what we ended up doing. Nice. Let's check out this one. I think we hit it out of the park there, Mr. Ferrithus. So we got, I don't know, look at that. Definitely a lot nicer. We could just do like a little bit of, tiny little bit of sanding. Let's see if we got, we got some sandpaper somewhere. Yep, we do. Oh yeah, that is going to look good. Oh yeah, that'll be perfect. Perfect. Wunderbar. Es ist sehr gut. All right. Awesome, awesome. Dun, 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 dun. Pyro asks, what software do you use? See if I can make this a little bit bigger. 3D design, posting them if all goes well. Ferrith says K2 Plus, Creality Print, Fusion 360 for design. The little sports thing looking good. Pretty good. I'm impressed. I'm impressed. That doesn't sound too hard to design yourself if you're into programming and electronics. That top part is probably get to separate even easier by reducing the thickness to 0.4 around that curve. Yeah, there's a little bit of material there, but still pretty impressive. That's for sure. And then the tiny little bit of contact where that bridging is very minimal, almost nothing. And it's going to be up against the wall, so you're not going to see it anyway. So yeah. See there, it just kind of scratched a little bit, but the surface area on the underside of that is really, really nice. So awesome stuff. So I'll have to do a little bit of tweaking. Ferrith says, yay, I didn't bring shame to his family. No, you did awesomely. So that is pretty cool. I like that. Awesome. Pyro says, all right, I'm going to go and get some rest. Got to sleep off the fever. Oh no. Yeah, get some rest, get better. Thanks for watching, appreciate it. And yeah, feel free to check out the other videos I got on. I've got some on Tinkercad. And if you got questions, Ferrithus is super smart. I just kind of hang around smart people, and some of that kind of rubs off on me, so I give that a shot. But yeah, cool. And the thing we could do is we could make the support and have it like a just like a template, and then just play around with that. So yeah, 0.4 would be the thing we could end up doing. So if we go back to this, and we did that. Nope, I didn't want to do that. I wanted to seriously. Wilson clicking the wrong buttons. Okay, I want that, and I want to do that. And then that, I wanted to undo that. And then this, I want to go down here, and 0.4 is what we ended up saying. 0.4 thickness. And then we can do that. Take that, we'll do that. We will click was that connecting on the bottom? I don't think it was. Nope. So I think we should be good. So grab this, and that. We'll combine all those together. And then this. Oh, we gotta go back to 0.1. I would only make the fin 0.4 for the last few millimeters up top to keep the rigidity. That makes sense. Alrighty. We can change that. We can do that. So we'll go back to there, do that, go back to that. 0.8 is what we had for thickness, and we will just make sure that these are centered. Just so the plastic comes off easier on that curve. Yep, I got you. So with that, we're going to let's combine these together. That's good. We'll combine those together. So that's good. And then what we could end up doing is we're going to have to slice off a little bit. And we'll just put it, I think we're going to have to go on the ground. And then we'll make this a little bit more manageable. And we'll bring that up. This is going to be interesting. We could do, maybe we could angle this a little bit. I don't think it's going to make that much of a difference, but I think we could do that. Sorry if I'm making you all seasick. And 0.8, that's approximately 0.1, so I could copy this, and we'll move this over here. I'll zoom in. Eight, 7, 6. That's going to be a little thin. That's thin. Do something like that. And maybe I could bring this up just a hair. Maybe down one more. And I think yeah, we need to go up one more. I think that should work. What do you think, Mr. Ferretus? Think that'll work? Like so. I think we'll give that a shot. So we'll combine all that together. Then we can do another test piece. I think that'll look good. Yeah, that'll definitely, hopefully it'll show up. And we'll have to zoom in here a little bit. And we'll go back, we'll make this transparent so we can see that this is there. And we'll have to see if this is that looks centered like so. Yep. Talk about lucky. Look at that. So now I'll combine these together. You know what? I'm going to make a copy. So that way, you know what I'll end up doing? I need to make a file where I just have the fin. Seriously. So we can just have the fin. I'll get rid of all this other stuff. And then that way, so I can have like a template. But now that I know the 0.8. You know what I should do? Well, let me do this first. We'll join these together, and then we'll export that. And while that is going, let's go ahead and we'll put a little bit of text on there, not that big. 0.8 fin. I don't know why that is back. There we go. As we're waiting for export, we will bring this over. Seriously? And I could end up, you can just drag it. Seriously? I'm just kind of, I just want some type of reference on here to show the the 0.8 fin. And just drop that there, and we can just, of course something went wrong. What are the odds? But at least I could do that and put some definitions on there. Let's try this again. Just let's refresh the page, and we'll try to export again. Alrighty, let's try this again. So, for those of you who are watching, we're doing our paint rack that we have here, and we're trying to improve the supports on here by printing a fin for our supports, a breakaway support. And what we end up is this. That's just a little piece, test piece there. So we have the main piece here on the left, the fin is on the right, and the main fin that's in contact with the tube, that contoured portion is 0.4 about, and then the width of the larger area is 0.8 millimeters. And again, we've got a couple of millimeters there, or not a couple of millimeters, I can't remember what it is. But let's try to export this. And we printed out one already, and it worked well, but there was still a little bit too much material on that little tube area that we see there. Still came off pretty decent, I mean, for the most part. It just needed a little bit of sanding. And of course this camera doesn't focus real well. But as that is exporting, keep your fingers crossed. But if we look at let's focus, come on, focus. Yeah, there it is. So it turned out pretty good. There's just a tiny bit of marring, and it wasn't bad. But we'll see if we can improve on that support. And then that way, we don't have to do supports. We don't have to use supports when we do when we print our paint racks out, which would be a good thing. I think it worked. I think it worked, gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen, I think it ended up working. So let's go back to Creality Print. And again, it's a rack holder that goes in a pegboard. Each rack holds 10 paints, so it takes 14 hours to print this out. And then there was our test piece that we did. So I can get rid of those. And we can bring in the newly downloaded one, which is this one here. Oh. And now we'll see. So as we can see there, we're going to have, let's make it a different color so you can see what I'm talking about. So we can see that we took away to Mr. the dude's recommendation is to narrow this down so we don't have so much contact, but we still get support. So we'll see how that works. It's about a 0.4 is what we're guessing there, and the distance is 0.8 from there to there. So we'll see how this goes. And we won't need supports. So we just do that. We'll slice the plate up. And, ooh, look at that. That is like, that is going to be interesting. But it did work with our bridging down here, remember? I think this could be good. Boom. George says, do too. That's right. I was just thinking about that. So we'll clone. We'll do one more. Kind of space it out, kind of like what we'd end up seeing. Kind of, that's about the distance. And we will slice this up one more time. And if we take a look at this, so yeah, look at that, yeah. And then down on that bottom piece, you can see where that's a continuous. So yeah, that's a single layer there. Ferris says it looked like bridges are also a single layer instead of two, but it looks like they worked last time. Yeah. So we might have to tweak that a little bit. I mean, it worked, but it'll be interesting to see how that comes out. That could be good. Look at that. We're using a 0.2 millimeter on a 0.4 nozzle. So let's send this over. We're going to be using a spool holder. We'll send this out. Oh, do I have I got to scrape off the brims. Okay. Okay, crisis averted. So we'll see how this goes. Close, 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 close. Yeah, that was close. Yeah, we'll see how this. It's like, oh yeah, I forgot the brims. So we might have to do a little bit of tweaking on our fin here, so that we increase the distance from there to there to make it two. I don't know, the 2 layers. We'll see how it goes. I mean, if it prints and then we can just call it good. Yeah. Ooh, look at this. Veritha says if you want the overhang super clean, you can add variable layer height to that area. You're just playing with me, aren't you? You're just waiting. We'll stop the print. You're just waiting for me to press print, and then you come up with these cool things. And hey, let's see if we can get them to stop the print again. Okay, so now we got to go back to the machine and make sure that it stops. This is fun. Okay. It's stopping. But with the variable layer height, now the question is, on the variable layer height, it's going to affect the entire model because it's going to be at 0.2. So if I do variable layer height, isn't that going to, it's going to affect everything from that point on. It's not like I can do just the fin. So let's take a look at this. So we have the variable layer height, and if we go, let's zoom in so you can really see what's going on. So if we go there, and then we could just do it for like that, and then it'll go back to normal. But we're going to get that little bit of difference there. Let's go ahead and try that and see what happens. So on the front one that's closest to us, we can do the variable layer height. Apparently you are chaos. Yes, you're just, we're going to call you Loki, the trickster. Dun, dun, dun. From that overhang on the peg, yeah. And then don't go shallow. 0.12 is all we need. Okay, let's see. Let's reset this. Veritha says, when you look at the sliced model, you see the blue in the overhangs. Only do it in those areas so the blue disappears. That's all you need. Gotcha. Look at him jump. I know, right? Okay. So now, so I think we do that maybe just a little bit more. Kind of like that. And I think we should be good. You're starting way lower than you need. Look at the unmodified model, and the slice will show you a tiny bit of overhangs that you have left. Okay, so let's reset this. And we will... Okay, we're not doing support, so we don't need to worry about that. Preview. So really, so we're talking about just on like that portion. So like maybe just that little bit there. Okay, I think I see what you're saying. Only the little bit of blue. So as soon as it comes up to there, okay, I think I know what you're talking about. So we're basically just from like here to here, maybe about halfway up there. So let's go back through here and basically right like that. It's just not as, well, it's going to be a variable height. That's what I'm kind of, I think that'll work. So that looks good. I think we're right. Slice that up. And yeah, so a little bit of blue, tiny bit. And we can go back, we can fix that. And we can bring this down just a hair. That's a bit much. Mm-hmm.
Do you know us to have a brunch routine?
Yeah, we can do that. 12.
So if you need to take a shower.
Yeah. Sure. Sounds good. Okay, so a little bit more. Try that. We'll slice that up. I don't know. I think we're going to have to call that good. I don't think we're going to get anything because you're not... Well, no. I can get down a little bit more because it's kind of like right in there. Let's try that. Honestly, I think that's good enough for government work. So we'll try the variable layer height on that, and we'll see how that goes. Yeah, 90-degree overhang, you always have that blue. Yeah, I think we should be good on that. It's just... because even though we're making that adjustment, and you can see, I don't know, let's take it, maybe go a little bit more. But you can see how much less it is between the models. Yeah, yep. I think... So if we do the comparison, we can see Yeah. So you can see all the blue on the bottom one down there, the one on the right bottom, and then the one on the top. I think we're good. So yeah, let's go ahead and we'll, since this is sliced up and we did this one here as an individual object with the variable layer height, and this one is regular, so we'll have a good look and we'll see how that goes. Okay, so now we're going to send the print. Yeah, it's really just 5 or 10 layers. Yeah, it's just, I'm still trying to see, because it's variable and it's got that curve on doing that layer height. I'm used to, I don't know. Okay, we'll see how it goes. Let us give it a shot. Will it be much ado about nothing, or will it be something worth doing? I don't know. With the variable layer height. You know, when we did the first little test piece that we did, I mean, with a little bit of sanding and it was good. So, build plates ready. Anything before I print it again, or I'm gonna start print and you're gonna come up with something else? The only thing variable layer height do is change the sheen of the plastic for those layers. So if you care about that, you may not be able to use this technique. Yeah. We'll see how that goes. That's why I want to do one with it and then the other one without it, and we'll see how it goes. Because on the front of the model, it might end up a little different, but it's a paint rack holder. And the way it's going to be, you know, sitting on the shelf or on the pegboard is going to be at this angle, kind of like that. So it's not like it's going to be like this where you're going to be able to see the layer lines and everything like that. It's going to be at an angle. So it's going to be down, so you're not going to see that area, which would probably be about right up here. Right about that area there. So, but with these, I'll probably just need to just do a little bit of sanding to fix these up. But on the future ones, that is the way to go. So, Ferrithus says, okay, I'll shut up now. But if we go back to, I got to get ready. We're going to go have lunch here pretty soon. But what is that going to come out to? However many minutes it was. It's going to be another 18 minutes, 23 minutes. Yeah. That's okay. We can do that. But thing is, I can take this, since we have, like for this one here, let's get that out of the way. So I can take this, and what we can end up doing is we can move this. Oops. If I can get this to where I want it. And then we can just click those, and if we get out of the 1 millimeter, you could do like that, and everything will be connected there. And then I come back here, and we could just eyeball this, because that's what we're going to have to do. And then I could copy this and shift and right click, and we'll move this over here. We could do the same thing. We just kind of line that up to wherever we need it. And we could just do another one. Set that one. Like so. And then I could select this one. We can do the same thing. Bring this one over. We can zoom in here. We can take a look and make sure that we're and then what I could end up doing is selecting all of these, and we could group these together, and then we'd have to just move this in, boop, and there we go. Go back, and then we could just group all those and then export that, and boom, we've got our supports. Awesome. Awesome. Incredible. Incredible. So we got about 23 minutes. We'll see what happens, but I think I'm going to have to cut out on this. 23 minutes, because that'll put it's 11:30. I got to take a shower, get ready. I can do that in like 5 minutes. That's a cool little trick, though. I like that. I like the fin. Fin is pretty cool. I think they could have done a lot more with fin. And if you got that Star Wars reference, then gold star to you. But yeah, Barrett is like the famous 5-minute shower. Yeah. Yeah. It's old military. Get in there, get it done, and go. But I usually shower every day anyway. Every day, sometimes every other day. So, depends on what I'm doing. Cleanliness is next to godliness or something like that. I'm not sure. So this brings to mind that what we could end up doing, especially with these fins, let's go ahead and make a copy of this. We should just make a file, and then what we could end up doing is, since that worked out pretty well, we could make some basic templates for these, and because we have that contour line, so we had to take away that material there. But I could just make it and just have one every, I don't know, what's the distance on that? I don't think we checked on that. Let's zoom in here and we'll just do a little, just a little worky here thing, and we'll see. So it's about every, so you could probably do about every 10 millimeters. We could do one of these tabs every 10 millimeters. Let's see, what was this one? And it worked out well. That was a little bit bigger. So what was that? That was 8.5. So yeah, you could do a distance in between those little bridges. Probably about 8, I think. 8 to 10, I think we'd be good. They worked. So, like Ferrith has said, it gives up just enough contact point to keep that fin from going back and forth. So, yeah, I'm going to say 8 would be good. And we'll keep that as a rule of thumb. So that way the distance between, like this tab right there, and then that one there, if we make that distance 8 and just make that our standard, so 8 from the bottom, 8, and then yeah, 8, 8, and 8, I think we'd be good to go. So we can do a little bit of adjustment on this, and then I could make some files, and yeah, eventually I could post those. I think that would work out well. And we're off and running. We're doing good. Thank you. I love that. Love that. Talking about showers, Ferris says that's why I keep my hair short. In, out, one towel wipe, done. Yeah. I gotta shave a little bit. Get a little scruffy. So shaving, it might take maybe 7 minutes. We should get done. Lesson 10, so we've got 18 minutes left. It is a quarter after. And luckily, the place that we need to go is across the street from where we live. So I'll take a few minutes to get there. So we might be able to get this done. Or what I could end up doing is I could just let this print. I could go take a shower now, and then you all could discuss amongst yourselves. Of course, none of the comments will come out because I have to approve them. But if you all just want to keep watch on the print, I'll go take a shower. I'll make sure I take the mic off. I don't think you'd want to hear me showering. And then we'll come back, and after I'm done with the shower, should be pretty close to done. And we get the shower done, we get this printed out, we can check it out, see if it works with variable layer height, or we just keep it normal with the reduced top fin portion of like 0.4. Yeah. And take the mic off. Yes, definitely. We did the bathroom thing with the wireless mic. We're never going to do that again. We're definitely not going to do the shower thing. So we will leave this here. Alrighty, I'm gonna go. I'll take a shower. Matter of fact, we'll do a little thing. BRB. Shower time. I'll just be right back. Watch the print. Do something like that. Nev says, that was a special time. Yes, the trip to the bathroom was quite fun. Alrighty, I'm going to go ahead and take off. You will all watch the prints. I'll get my shower. I'll knock that out. Leave the microphone here. So again, wireless mic is here. I'll leave that. And then by the time I get done, this should be done because it's about 15 minutes, and we'll see you on the flip side. Okay. We are back. Oh, such timing. You couldn't get much better timing than that. That was perfect. Perfect, perfect. Alrighty. Well, since I'm back, let me go get the plate or get the prints and we'll see how they came out. So excited. Alrighty. The variable layer height one is here, the regular one is here. So get some of that off of there. And that variable layer height, regular layer height. Okay, okay. We did it, we did it, we did it. Okay, we've got our regular layer height, and then we have our variable layer height on this one. And you can see a tiny bit of difference, but nothing crazy. So let's go over to the better camera on the paint station. We'll get a close-up view on this. Ferrith says he made sure that it didn't break. Alrighty, awesome. Awesome, awesome. So, the variable layer height one is on the left, and the regular one is on the right. And you can, I don't know if you can see a difference. There's like a tiny bit of difference. You can see. With this one being the variable layer height. And then, as I drop it, we'll check out, so we can get this to focus again. We can end up seeing the can't really tell much of a difference, huh? So the variable layer height is the one on the left. So, but let's see how this comes off since we'd reduced that top portion. And there it is. And boom. Yeah, that came off really nice. So you can see we just got a couple of just little things we can just kind of scrape off with our fingertip. And since that's going to be on the back, we're not going to know anyway. So that looks pretty good. Variable layer height, I don't know, we'll see. Let's check out the other one, the normal one, without variable layer height. As I drop that one again. See if we can get this into focus. We can see that. Yeah, we might want to do two on that. I mean, the top one's connected, but and we've got a little bit of marring on there. Let's see, can we just clean that off? Focus. Really? I don't see that much of a difference between the two. Get this to focus. So variable layer height, I don't think it makes that big of a difference, honestly. So I think we're good with just doing the regular one without the variable layer height, but that's a good test though. Let me see if we can get this to focus a little bit better. What do you think? Turns out pretty good, I think, for like the support side of the house. I think it does good. Alrighty. So there we have it. Yes, we did good. Veritha says, sheen difference, but the overhang looks cleaner on the variable height. That's really hard to tell. I mean, it's definitely better than the one we did before. I'm wondering if we can get a little bit of a... Let's get a little bit of a... Let me try to get a decent picture of this. So again, the variable layer height is going to be the one on the left. Let's see if we can get a little bit of light onto this subject. If I can get a decent camera shot here. Need more light, but hold on. I think that's going to be, it's about as good as we're going to get with the picture. So, okay, so now let's take a look. Veritha says, I think the variable layer height is the one that looks better. I think it can be. Let's see if we can ship this over to the Mac here real quick. Boom! So glad that fin worked. That is awesome. Thank you for that. And we'll see. No, I don't want Microsoft Update. That's what I want. I want the picture. Show the picture. Boom. So the variable layer height is the one on the left. The regular one is the one on the right. You can see the variable layer height is a little bit tighter. Probably need to clean that up just a hair. Just with a fingernail compared to the other one. Let's see. Here, we'll clean this up a little bit. And just kind of let me take another picture. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, it looks, it is so darn close. Not that, I mean, it's a support that's going to be on the back side of a model that's going to be on the wall. Let's see if we can get a better shot. Let me see. Can I do this? Yeah. Yeah, you can tell the difference. Hold on, let me throw this picture out there. And if I can get this going, I'll throw this at the computer here real quick. We'll see what the next one looks like. It is coming. So there it is. So yeah, you can see the one on the left, the layer lines are closer together, definitely where we did that. I still, if I could just clean that off with a fingernail, I think it'd be good to go. Yeah, there it goes. Okay. So forgive the little piece that you see on there. But yeah, you can definitely see that the one on the left is a little bit cleaner, except for the little piece that I didn't clean off, versus the one on the right, which is the regular. So yeah, the fin came out better on the regular height one, it looks like. Surface looks cleaner on the variable height, layer height. Yeah, around that curve. So, but either way, it worked out well. And I think maybe with the bridges that went across, one of them looked like it didn't contact, but on the other one it did. But maybe it's because when I took it off, it removed it. That's what I'm going to say. So I should have taken it off with more care. But, I mean, that's awesome. That is a hell of a lot better than what we saw before with the other ones. But still, get all those done. And if you wanted perfection, you could sand it, but I don't think we need to do that because it'll be on inside the pegboard. So I think that is a win. That is a win. Awesome. Thank you very much for that. So when we go back, I think we'll end up doing later today is we go back to Tinkercad and we will, the distance between the ground down here on where this is sitting and here between that little edge there, we'll make that 8. So you could do like 8 to 10 and that'll keep that fin from moving. Yeah, you could probably do it at 10 and you'd be good to go. And then this distance here is enough for one strand at a 0.2. So if we take a look at this, and let's see, we can take a look and see what does that really come out to. I can't remember what we ended up doing that as. And we will do that, and we will do that. So that is the space there. So the distance is 0.4. So we get one strand at 0.4 as far as that little tab on 0.2 layer height. That's one strand. That's one layer. So I think that works out okay. Definitely connects up there. We've got enough for at least a fin of this height. I think we're good to go. And then I think what we ended up doing, taking that that little bit of edge off on each side, so we got 0.4. That makes it a lot easier. So that's kind of a good thing too. Definitely, I think that's worth doing. So we might even, well, yeah, so many things you could do. It's just a support. So I think what we can end up doing with this support is we can make some blank templates, and that way they'll go all the way up, and every 10 millimeters we can have a little bridge, a little notch that goes out to the side there, every 10 millimeters, and then we can make them, you know, we could pull this out and the thickness is still good. We'll just go ahead and we'll make this, you know, square at the top, and then every 10 millimeters up, and then that way you have a support that you can add to a model that, boom, you'd be good to go. So maybe, and that would work for like this over here as well, for our tape measure holder that we're going to be making. And we could do the same thing. Of course, we'd have to, you know, take this up at every 10, and then basically, you know, we'd have to cut it and all that stuff. But I mean, that's a good way to do our little model there. Just kind of put that in there, and then, you know, we could raise it up, do like that. And yeah, do like that. And then, yeah, we could just add that to the model, and we could, again, kind of reduce the thickness on that top portion there. I think that would be good. So yeah, that's a cool little way to do your supports, is by using the fin. So thank you, Mr. Ferrithus. With that said, I'm going to have to cut this off right now because we're going to go get some breakfast with our daughter. So since we got the weekend, 4-day weekend, we're going to have some fun, eat some food, drink some coffee, and thank you very much for watching, everybody. Appreciate it. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. I would really appreciate that. That would help out the channel. And with that, the obligatory outro, email address, coffee if you want to do that, but the best thing that you can do, don't worry about the coffee, is like and subscribe to the channel. Ferrithus says, enjoy your breakfast. He's headed to bed, and everybody else, wherever you're at and what you're doing, have fun, enjoy it, and we will see you on the next video. All right, thanks for watching. Peace.